Hey guys, Mike from Urban Automotive, Oakville, Ontario, Canada, here today with my man Ian.
Hi everybody.
Today we're going to talk about what, Ian?
Air conditioning. The season is back.
The season is back. I love it. The season is back. So if you hop into your vehicle, Ian, and you turn on that AC, and the AC isn't cold, what do they need to do?
Well, we need to diagnose why.
And that's what we have the pleasure of having this vehicle here today. What kind of vehicle we got here today, Ian?
This is a 2009 Jaguar XF. It's a beautiful car, nice running car, but of course it's a Jaguar. You want to have your air conditioning working.
I would definitely say that's true. So, customer concern, AC not cold, what do we do?
Well, the first thing we do is we verify that if there is any refrigerant in the system, it's not contaminated. So we have a tool that actually determines what type of air conditioning refrigerant is in the system.
And why is that important?
That's important because we don't want to contaminate our equipment with something that is foreign to proper air conditioning systems like hydrocarbons or propane, which are what you get when you go to Canadian Tire and get those cans off the shelf.
The cans off the shelf are not good?
No.
And they're not the miracle fix?
No.
No. Just checking. All right, so we've checked and determined this customer has not gone and put in the $9.95 miracle fix.
Nope, obviously not. So I checked this system. It was, it did have a little bit of refrigerant in it, not enough to cool, but certainly pure R134, which is what our equipment was designed to handle. The next step is to empty out the system, determine how much is actually in there.
And that's called evacuate.
That's correct. And then after that, a vacuum process on the system with leak test, which is done under vacuum by the machine.
So this is the magical machine that we have, the Robin Air, which is, would you say, one of the top of the line models?
Absolutely, Ian? They're the standard for air conditioning refrigerant machines in the industry. So
the cat's behind.
We'll call it that. So while I took my lunch break, I had left the machine on its vacuum test. The vacuum held. The system passed the vacuum test according to the machine.
And why is that important?
Well, that's important because if the system has a big leak in it, we don't want to put refrigerant into the system and have it leak out. We don't want the refrigerant to escape into the atmosphere because it is an ozone depleting chemical, whether it's quote unquote safe or not. And it also is a toxic chemical. So we want to try to reduce and keep that chemical out of the atmosphere as much as we can.
Ian's also failing to mention it's illegal to add that to the system that has a potential leak. So
that also is
that
true.
In layman's terms is what we're looking at.
So because this passed the vacuum leak test done by the machine, we were able to put refrigerant in. And then the next step is to use this tool here, which is actually a refrigerant detector, which we'll plug it in, I'll get it set up, and then I'll go over the system as thoroughly as I can with this nozzle, and if there is a leak, it'll pick it up.
Now, where are leaks typical that people have a better understanding of what we're looking for when we're doing a AC leak? Is it just in the front? Is it just a hose, or are there potentially other places where it could be?
Oh, of course. The AC system is actually a very complex system. It does have lines and hoses. There is a radiator-like piece of equipment that's in the front of the car called the condenser. There is a radiator-like piece of equipment under the dash called the evaporator, and there is the compressor as well. So anywhere in that system can develop a leak, where the pipes are joined together, where the condenser could be struck by a rock or a piece of debris on the road, and it could punch a small hole into it. Even through hot and cold heat cycles, you can fatigue the metal in the evaporator and it can crack, and then you'll get trace elements of the refrigerant that come out into vents in the car. So we want to find that leak if there is one and get rid of it and fix it.
So what is your suspicion on this vehicle, because you mentioned it to me before we started the video?
One of the things that happens in air conditioning systems is that during winter the pressure actually changes to vacuum because refrigerant is heavily affected by temperature. So when the temperatures go below zero, the system, which is normally pressurized in summer, actually goes into a vacuum, and it can suck open those seals, like the compressor front seal, some of the O-ring seals, can shrink enough that when the system goes back into pressure as the temperatures rise, it can lose a little bit of refrigerant. Whether we like it or not, it does happen. And over many years, you can lose a little bit every year, and then all of a sudden the system doesn't have enough to cool the car.
Right, because you need a certain amount of pressure within the system to activate the compressor.
That's right. There are switches on the system that will make sure that the compressor isn't going to get damaged by an extreme low level of refrigerant, which means an extreme low level of oil.
Okay. Next quick question, Ian. Can anybody just do this job?
No, and not anybody can do this job. There is a special certification over and above my normal technician's license that is required to work with refrigerants and air conditioning systems.
There's our answer. So, this is what we're paying for when we do an inspection.
That is right.
Now we're doing an evacuate and recharge.
Yep. So that's what we're doing right now, is an evacuate and recharge, and then it's a leak detection test on this vehicle, which will be the final step before we determine if there is any further repairs necessary.
Now, what else do we do here at Urban Automotive that helps the system in the future? When we top up the system, we add what to the system?
So we have a sealer and dye, refrigerant dye container that we put into the system after a repair, or when we do an evacuate and recharge, that helps to condition the seals to help keep them soft. Has a sealer that could seal up any of those potential very small losses that may not be picked up by a leak detector, and a little bit of oil, and then a dye that will show up under black light that will help us in the future to find a leak if one does develop.
Awesome. So there you have it, folks. Thanks very much, Ian. I'll let you get back to it. There you have it, folks. If your vehicle's not cooling the way it was in the fall when you parked it, or if it's your baby like this and you're bringing it out for the first time and it just doesn't seem to be working that cool like it should, by all means, give us a call, email us, text us, let us know. Be happy to help you out with the AC inspection. And if you Google us on Google right now, from now until the start of July, we've got a discounted rate for anybody who uses the code that is required in order to get the deal. Special code gives you a deal on an AC repair. Thanks very much. Please subscribe. We do these videos to try to educate our customers and help our people have better understanding of the repairs that we're doing on their vehicles. Urban Automotive, safety first.